protection. Let's be real. The kids
Yeah.
wearing a mask is for their own protection. It's not political.
Well,
It's not any of that. It's just for their own protection. So I hadn't heard that. I would Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started.
Teresa, you know it is that time of the year where the students are going back to school. I spoke with my nieces this week, and both of my grandnephew, grandniece, one lives in Florida, one lives in South Carolina. They're going back to school this week.
You mean they're going to be on site?
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
remote.
right, on site.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but have you been following the news with, all of these school board meetings and in different localities, people showing up because they've said in different states and in different localities that they want the kids to wear masks, and the parents are upset because the students are going to have to wear masks. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I think that borders ridiculous to me because they don't want them remote, which I get. Now that they're going to be on site, I mean, that's just for their own protection. Let's be real.
Yeah.
The kids wearing a mask is for their own protection. It's not political.
Well,
it's not any of that. It's just for their own protection. So I hadn't heard that. I would think that they would be rejoicing if the kids had to wear a mask.
No, they're not. But you brought up the point that really what's happened is that mask issue. It has become, and this whole COVID protocol has become so political, and it's sad and it's scary because I'm not a scientist. I have to rely on the scientists and what they're saying is best to keep us safe. And if it's okay, if you know that's not your area of expertise, it's just like in any other area. I don't try to fix my car. I take it to a mechanic who knows the intricacies of how to keep that car running safely. And so for us to get bogged down in politics and say, I don't want my child wearing a mask when we know that they're at risk and that also that we can be at increased risk, then I'm not getting that, how we can't separate that issue to just look solely at what's the recommendations and to see factually what should be done. And I'm having a problem with this. And people are very irate, very irate. So,
well, I think a lot of it, just taking a big step back, I think a lot of it is COVID fatigue. I think what has happened is, COVID fatigue and political saturation. I think that we as a people, we had 4 years where we were so polarized and there was so much hate and so much vitriol. Mm-hmm. And I think, and now we're dealing with this whole COVID thing. Yeah. And then I think what's happening is that people are frustrated and tired and they don't realize what they're taking their anger and their frustration and their tiredness out on. And it's the simplest of things. As wearing a mask to me, but of course to them, it's not a simple issue. Like you said, it is political and it shouldn't be. And what we should be thinking about is those babies. And let me tell you something. When you look at the numbers and they are as high as they are when we were in this time last year and we have relaxed we have relaxed protocol and not strengthened them, and we have a breakthrough variant.
Yeah.
I feel like that if anything, if we're going to react in the same manner we did before, things should be shut down now. We have a
Yeah.
breakthrough variant. Get
Yeah.
with that for a minute.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
breakthrough. That means you've been vaccinated. You can still end up in the hospital. You hopefully won't die because of the vaccine. But if you haven't been vaccinated, your chances of dying are greater.
Well,
And
and this is
it's
the
just
thing. When you say we're where we were before, our words, because now they're talking about the fact that there are no beds. We're getting back to that point in hospitals where there are no available beds. And so now we're hearing in different states, we've returned back to telling people, you know what, we're not doing any kind of elective procedures, anything that we don't have to do, we're not doing. But I listened to the news last night, and they were talking about in Mississippi where I think the director of the main hospital was saying it's almost at the point where even if someone is having a heart attack or stroke, the ambulance, they won't have anywhere to take them. They won't even be able to come and transport you anywhere. And you and I both know, particularly well with heart attack victims and stroke, it's imperative that they receive care immediately. But they're not going to have access to that because the hospitals are being overrun with these COVID patients. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and so to me, I mean, none of the restrictions should be relaxed. I think we in fact, in my office, they didn't send us back home, but what they did institute is that we have to wear our masks all the time, and we have to social distance. Mm-hmm. And we can have in-person meetings in meeting rooms if there's room for people to social distance, but absolutely, if you've not been vaccinated, they ask you not to attend in-person meetings.
Right.
So we're still being super careful, but they're willing to risk these and that ridiculous man in Florida. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I would not want to live in that state. He is ridiculous.
My brother lives in Florida, and I had a family member that had a recent health scare, and he told me, he said, Lou, my brother said, Lou, you should be thankful that that you're not in Florida, or you didn't need to receive care in Florida, because there's nowhere that you can't get in anywhere. And sure enough, what he was telling me, that's what I'm seeing on the news. But Teresa, as the mom of college students, though, what are they saying about the students returning back to college? Are you hearing how are parents, your peers, feeling about that?
Well, I haven't really talked to anybody about it other than my child. Mm-hmm. And what she feels about it is that she wants them to follow the CDC guidelines. Mm-hmm. But I think the governor has come out and said something a little different than that. And she's a little disturbed by that. I think what did the governor, I think the governor might have said optional, masks optional.
Well, but indoors. Teresa, I saw today, though, the governor, at least of our state in Virginia, they're now requiring masks, all.
Okay. Yeah. So if they're requiring masks and they're following CDC guidelines, then she's happy.
Yeah.
Because the thing that she's concerned about is the fact, because the school follows whatever the governor says.
Yeah. But so I think I just saw that earlier today. But you know what I thought about? I think what's happened is, well, let me just speak for myself. I thought after the election, and that we would, as Americans, become a bit calmer, that maybe we would return to a place of where we could work together, or to help us get through this pandemic. But it's almost as if, I think about when someone's been abused, you don't immediately there are some long-term ramifications of that. It doesn't just happen without, you don't really heal, or you're not going to get over it, but you don't get to a better place without walking through that journey and experiencing some healing within, or having that issue addressed. Well, what's happened, just because there was a change at the top in terms of the party or the presidency, that's not going to fix everything. It's still the remnants of what we've been through. I think that's what we're seeing with people acting out and not being able to hear each other, and all of the anger. What's freaking me out is just the airlines, when people are traveling and the way they are conducting themselves in these airports. And I have traveled and missed connections and had to stay in a hotel and stood in a long line, and did that once with toddlers. But at the end of the day, you still cannot just go off on personnel in these airports, and particularly when you're in flight, and place everybody in danger and then cause additional delays because of your misbehavior. So that's what's just throwing me. It's like, really? We've reached a whole new level here.
So aggressive drivers are on the rise. Yesterday, when I was driving home, I've witnessed it even more than just yesterday. Personally, I've just seen people acting out on the roads. It's just been really crazy. I've seen more accidents than usual and all of that. But yesterday, personally, this happened to me. I'm in a lane that eventually I know is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to get over.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get over. My signal is on, and there's a huge opening. When I say huge, 3 cars could have got over. That's how much distance between me and the car. So I put my signal on and got right over, right?
Yeah.
When I tell you, the guy behind me was livid. He was livid. He was cussing and slamming his hands on the wheel. And as soon as he could get over one lane, he got over one lane, and he stopped. He slowed right next to me, and he flips me off. And then he gets back in front of me, and he cut me off. He didn't get the same. He didn't give me the same grace and distance that I had given him. He cut me off, and he hit his brakes.
Oh my goodness.
He did. He cut me off, and he hit his brakes. And I said, you know what? God bless you, man, because you must be having a horrible day.
Yeah.
And I hope things get better for you.
You pulled the Tabitha Brown on him, did you? Did you pull a Tabitha like she treated? Go ahead, Teresa.
That's right. That's right. Because ain't nobody got time. He's not going to send my pulse and blood pressure up because he's acting a fool. I felt really bad for him, honestly. And what I did, because I didn't want to have an accident because he was being stupid, I needed to get over another lane anyway, because I was exiting eventually anyway. And so I got over another lane. And when I got over another lane, he hit his gas and went on down the road, honestly. He was just trying to aggravate me, but he wasn't successful in aggravating me. I actually felt really bad for him.
People are out of control. So I tell you, but
And this guy had on a white shirt. You know what I mean? He probably is somebody's boss. He was dressed in a very nice car. When I tell you, it was a very nice car.
Wow. So
I was so surprised at the behavior. I wish I could have got a picture of him and posted it on social media and say, does anybody know this man?
Well, you don't need a picture. Next time, get his license plate and we'll broadcast it over our show. I'm going to tell you, you'll be on blast.
Nice idea.
Yeah, just get that. Yeah, just get your license plate. We'll put it out there.
I'll do that.
But anyway,
that's a good idea.
Just please, just take it down a notch. Just think about what you're doing and how you're interacting. And like Teresa said, even if not for the other person, you don't need to run your blood pressure up or send your thoughts to a bad place for the day. We are trying to be safe, and trying to all get through this. We're thinking about our children. They're watching us, but they're also depending on us to make sound decisions for their health. So let's all be mindful of that as we move forward and start approaching the fall, as we plan what we're going to be doing to stay safe. That's all we have for today.